dimension, what is the definition? We have already seen the definition of dimension. Dimension of a vector space means nothing but the number of linearly independent vectors. We have seen that dimension is number of linearly independent vectors. So basically what you are asked to find out is how many vectors are linearly independent among these 2m vectors. Yes, this is the question, actual question that is been asked. Now first of all the thing is that if x1 is there and minus x1 is there, you know that these two are having a mutual relationship of this kind. That one vector is related with the other. If x1 is this one, minus x1 will be this one. When you see a relationship like one vector is a multiple of the other, and here it is of negative turns the same vector, so again it's a multiple. So what you will say that this is a dependent vector and dependent on the x1 vector. Yes or no? First one vector minus x1 is dependent on the other vector. Similarly, this vector is also dependent. Similarly, this vector is dependent and this vector is also dependent. So the point to note from here is that among these 2m vectors, these negative vectors, which are actually in total m vectors, are obviously dependent vectors. So dimension whatever it may be, but it will be either equal to or less than the value 2m minus m. Why I am saying that? Because I have not discussed anything about them, whether they are dependent or not. But I am for sure say I can say that these all are these m vectors are dependent. So whatever the dimension may be, it will be either less than or equal to m, depending upon whether these are dependent or not. Now tell me, the positive vectors, are they dependent or independent? And what is the reason? It is given that these many are m non-zero orthogonal vectors. These all simultaneously are orthogonal to each other. What is the question? That all these m vectors are simultaneously orthogonal to each other. Parinay is asking why 2m minus m. So total vectors were 2m, and I proved to you that these negative vectors are definitely dependent upon the positive ones. You can see there is a multiple kind of a relationship. This is dependent on this one, this is dependent on this one. So on these m vectors are dependent upon the rest of the m. So dimension is definitely the number of linearly independent vectors. We already know that these m are not the independent ones. So I have subtracted 1m from them. Understood, Parinay? So it has been given that this set is the set of orthogonal vectors. Now orthogonal implies that the angle between them is 90 degree. Angle between them is 90 degree. And we know for dependency, the vectors are what? Parallel to each other. The vectors are parallel to each other. They are at 90 degree. They are not parallel. That means they will be independent. So they can't be dependent, they are independent. So final answer is M, because orthogonality implies linearly independent vectors. Understood? So Parinay, in the last class we have discussed that whenever there will be linearly dependent vectors, those vectors will be parallel in nature. That we have seen yesterday in the last class. Okay. So now if they are given that they are orthogonal, that means definitely they are not parallel, they are perpendicular to each other. They are not parallel. That not parallel thing directly implies that they are not dependent, and if they are not dependent, that implies that they are independent. So from that logic, I have said that they will be independent. Okay, now try this question, Parinay. So this determinant value, you have to talk about this determinant value where these angular brackets denote the dot product. Now, do you know the formula for dot product? What is the formula for dot product of two vectors? Let's say two vectors is x and y. So x dot y. So x dot y is given by xy cos theta. Dot product formula is xy cos theta. Very basic knowledge of your 9th class, 11th class. So it is xy cos theta, where x and y denote the magnitude of these two vectors x and y. Okay. Now using the same thing, can you tell me what will be the dot product of the vector x with itself? Dot product of the vector x with itself. What will be that value equal to? So I have assumed here is that, let's say theta is the angle between x and y. Now if you take the angle, if you take the dot of the vector with itself, yes, then the angle between those two vectors for which you are taking the dot product, this is if your x vector, then again another x vector lies on this only, or it is the itself. That means the angle between the two vectors is 0 and cos 0 is equal to 1. So this will become x into cos 0, that is x square. Cos 0 is 1. Yx, now yx, if you change the order also, then also it will give you the same value. It will be equal to xy cos theta, because if you change the order also, the angle theta will still remain the same. If it was earlier theta, then again by taking the dot product of yx also, it will be theta only, and similarly this value will be equal to y square. So finally this determinant comes out to be, I am substituting the values, so this one is x square, this is xy cos theta, this is also xy cos theta, and this value is y square. Just simplify this a bit and solve the determinant. So you will get this as, and you can take this x square y square as common, so it will become 1 minus cos square theta, and finally, okay, if that this value, let's say I denote it by del, so del comes out to be x square y square sin square theta. Have you reached up to this point? I think there will be no difficulty if you know that dot product is defined like this. Then you can get up to this point. Now let's look into the options one by one. So if I discuss the option A, okay, let's say the option A is true. So what the option A is trying to say is that this determinant value will be 0 when x and y are linearly independent. Determinant value will be 0 if x and y are linearly independent. This is given in the question that x and y are linearly independent. Now tell me, if x and y are linearly independent, what will be the value of theta? If x and y are linearly independent, what will be the value of theta? So now you will say that if they are linearly independent, that means they are not dependent, and not dependent means they will not be parallel, and not parallel means sin theta will never be 0. So what I am saying is that x and y are linearly independent. This implies that the theta will never be 0 or 180 degree. Yes or no? Theta will be neither 0 neither 180 degree. That implies that sin theta can never be equal to 0. Sin theta can never be equal to 0. So will this del be equal to 0? So no, del will never be equal to 0 because of this. Because x and y are the magnitudes of the vector, and you know magnitude of vector can never be 0. Yes or no? If there is a vector, it will have some length, and that length is known as the magnitude. It is never 0. So that is the point here, that if these becomes linearly independent, theta will be 0, not be 0 or 180 degree. Sin theta will not be 0. That means del also can never be 0. That's why this option is not your answer. This option is not your answer. Yes, so that is why A is not the answer. Let's now look into the option B. Let's discuss about the option B here. So again the same thing is written over there, that it is positive when x and y are linearly independent. So following the same conclusion that x and y are linearly independent implies what? Theta is not 0 or 180 degree. That implies what? Sin theta is non-zero, and then del value. If sin theta is non-zero, it can take any positive or negative value, but because there is a square of of this quantity, if it takes the negative value also, it will turn out to be positive eventually, so that this value will be always positive. So yes, B option is totally right, because when they become linearly independent, sine theta can never be 0. The only value that it can take will be directly equal to positive value. Understood or not? Option B is the answer to this question, because if theta is not 0, then del will also not be 0. That means del will be always positive, because it is the square of any quantity. Square of any quantity is always positive. Any doubt? Okay, some people are saying option D. So let me discuss that also. So Chandresh has some question: I plus j and I plus 2j. I plus j and I plus 2j are some two vectors. So Chandresh is asking whether these two vectors are linearly independent or dependent. So whenever there is a case of only two vectors, what we will try to find out that whether there is a relationship like this, whether A is coming out to be some k times B. If it follows this relationship, then dependent vectors. If not, then independent. So obviously here this relationship is not followed. That means it is the set of linearly independent vectors. Also diagrammatically also you can see, we have seen that dependent vectors means parallel vector. You can plot this I plus j vector. I plus j vector will be somewhere like this. Let's say I plus j is vector like this, and I plus 2j. If I plot that vector I plus 2j, then it will be somewhere like this, I plus 2j. So let's say here is there. So they are not parallel. That means they are linearly independent. Okay, so option D, let me discuss here. Option D is saying it is 0 only when either x or y is 0. So that is not true. That is not true. Why? Because most of you have answered that it is not the case that only either this or this becomes 0. When sine theta is also 0, then it also can be turning out to be 0. So that is not of the case that only when x and y are 0, then it will be 0. That is not the case. Option D is wrong. Okay, so hope that you understood that question. Let's come to the next topic, very important topic of this chapter. Write down rank of a matrix and write down the definition from the slide. So everybody must have written this definition, that a matrix is said to be of rank R when it has at least one non-zero minor of order R. One non-zero minor. Minor we have seen how to calculate, how to find out the minor. Minor of any element is found by deleting the row and the column in which the element is present. Okay, that is what is known as minor. And then every minor of order higher than R is 0. Okay, that is the definition of rank. Now this kind of a definition you must have used in your BTech level also, in your school level also, but for our case we will not use this definition at all. And for interview purposes also, you will never say that rank is defined like this. Never say this. You will be finally rejected after if you say this, that this is the rank. They are not asking you what is rank like this. This is a mathematical formulation that have been done, and this is a method how to find, but we will not even use this method. Do you understand it or not? It is just that you should know this definition once. It is enough. The way in which I will be calculating rank or we will be solving the gate questions is not based upon this method. So what is that method that I would like to discuss is like this. So write down the next, that is the most important definition. Never answer rank as the first definition, that minor so and so and so and so. No, never. The definition that you will see is that it is defined by the maximum number of linearly independent rows or columns in the matrix. That is the definition that I would need you to remember. So please write that down. So it is denoted by rho, Greek letter rho. So let's say if I have, write down the definition, then I'll discuss. So I think you must have written down the definition. Now let's come to this example. If you look carefully at this example, then these three rows are nothing but your those vectors x, y, z. The example 2 that I have taken tomorrow and I have taken in the last class, and in today's class also I've started with that example only. So these are nothing but your x, y, z vector. Are you able to see this or not? Now what I have defined rank as, rank is nothing but the maximum number of linearly independent rows or columns in the matrix. It is just the number of linearly independent rows or columns. Now we have seen a similar term in case of vector space. Can you recall what is that term? In terms of vector space, we have seen a similar term, a similar definition. For what term that was the definition? Can you recall? Give me in the comments. What was that definition? So today I can see that you have become a little bit lethargic. You are not replying that much. So again, I would like to suggest you to please continuously type and reply, or else this will be the same as a recorded lecture. You are paying for a live lecture, and if you are seeing it as a recorded lecture, then you are a fool. Yes or no? So please don't be like that. Please continuously reply in the comments. So now I have seen some comments. Yes, dimension. Devishri is saying basis. The basis was the set. It was a set of linearly independent vectors. Now dimension was the number of linearly independent vectors. Similarly, rank is the number of linearly independent rows or columns. So basically what it means is that if this A represents these three vectors which are forming a vector space, if three vectors are forming a vector space, then whatever the dimension of that vector space will be, the same will be the rank for this matrix. Are you able to relate or not? If these rows are nothing but the vectors in a vector space, so if you find out the dimension of that vector space, which means nothing but the number of linearly independent vectors in that space, vector space, then the rank or then the dimension and the rank will denote the same thing. Yes or no? Yes. So please relate with that. And now we will see that definition. We have already seen there that the number of linearly independent vectors in that example 2 were 2. Any of these two, if you write the relationship anyways, you will always get 2 as the number of linearly independent vectors. Similarly, if I see among the rows, let's say I'll name them as row 2, row 1, row 2, row 3. So you can obviously give me the relationship that R3 is equal to what? R1 minus R2. This means the relationship exists between these rows, means there will be some dependent vectors or some dependent rows among these three, and which one is dependent? You can directly say this one is dependent and the rest are independent. Therefore, the rank of this matrix is 2. Rank of this matrix is 2. That's what I have said, that it doesn't matter which one is independent, which one is not, but it matters how many are independent, because how many will give you the rank. Okay? Any doubt? Any doubt, or should we move ahead? So just check the rows. In this definition, I have written rows / columns. So if 2 are the number of linearly independent rows, the number of linearly independent columns will also be 2. They will be the same only. Okay, if you look column wise also, it will give you the answer as 2 only. So it doesn't matter. So for our case, we'll be always looking for a relationship among the rows, because by rows, if you go by rows or if you go by columns, the answer will be the same only. Understood? It can be C2. Is it, Piyush? I have not checked. Is this relationship true? Is C2 equal to C1 minus C3? No, C2 is not equal to C1 minus C3. The relationship will not be the same. The relationship will be different, but the relationship will be such that you get two linearly independent columns, and that is why rank will be 2. Okay. I don't know the relationship, I've never seen among the columns, and for our case we will never go for the columns also. We will always go for the rows only. We will just find the relationship among the rows, because why to complicate the things? Always follow same procedure. The answer will be the same, either you go by columns or by rows, but for our case we will always go by rows. We like it that way only. What are you trying to say? Any other question? Okay. So this is about rank. So let's solve this question based on the rank of the matrix. Try to solve this question. So the question is to find out the rank for the given matrix. Now, according to our definition, just reminding you that definition. What is rank? Rank is linearly independent rows. Let's forget about the columns for now, because we will always look for rows. So linearly independent rows, number of linearly independent rows will be the rank. Now, to check the independency and dependency, what do we do? I have always told you the golden rule to check whether something is dependent or not is to find out the relationship. Yes? So what thing you need to do here is to see whether there is a relationship among R1, R2 and R3. If you get the relationship, you will be able to see the what will be the rank that which will be given by number of linearly independent rows. So first of all, without I've seen your answers and everybody has answered right, but I want to see if you can find out the relationship among these 3 rows. Give me the relationship among the rows. Okay, so I can now see some relationships. R2 equal to 2R1 minus R3. R2 equal to 2R1 minus R3. Is it correct? So let me write down what I've seen. R2 equal to 2R1 minus R3. Let's check that. 2R1 means 12. 12 minus 2. 12 minus 14 is giving you 2. Okay, good. Then 0 times minus plus 14. Yes, 14. Then again 2 times R1 is equal to 8. 8 minus 3. 8 minus 0 is 8 again. So yes, it is the relationship among these rows. Are you able to see the relationship? This relationship is true. Now, according to this relationship, how many rows are dependent? So, you can see that only this row is dependent. Only this row is dependent. These two are linearly independent. So, what will be the rank? Rank is directly equal to 2. Because R1 and R3 are independent. Yes or no? So, in this way, you will simply find out the rank. But let's come to the real life now. Most of you must not be able to find out this relationship. Okay? If you are among those who are not able to find out this relationship, it's okay. You are not lagging behind anywhere. Okay? Yes, Chandresh, understood your point. This problem occurred to me also. I am also those kinds of people who can't see the relationship directly. Okay, so in that case, we have some rescue to us. And what is that rescue is known as row echelon form. Again, I would like to emphasize here that if you are able to see this relationship, well and good, congratulations, your rank you can easily tell. But what if you are not able to find the relationships? You are keep on looking, you are keep on trying anything relationship that follows. But if still you are not able to get that relationship, then you will go for this method that I am going to tell you now. Understood or not? Okay. So when we will go for this, when there is you can't find out the relationship that easily. Okay. In that case. Now, what is this row echelon form? Let's discuss that. So see the slide, and I would like to tell you to please copy this. Please copy this from the slide. And for once I am deleting this relationship here. So what is row echelon form? First of all, it is given that it helps in finding the rank of a matrix when the relationship among the rows is not so obvious. So first thing that you keep in mind is that if the relationship is, if you are not able to find the relationship, then you will come to this point. And now what is this form is, for converting a matrix into row echelon form, only row operations can be employed. And basically row echelon form is nothing but, if you have some matrix, then you will apply some row operations and then convert it into a UTM. What is UTM? What is UTM? What will you do to convert into row echelon form is that, take the matrix, do some row operations and convert it into UTM. This UTM is nothing but row echelon form. RE form I am writing, row echelon form. What do you mean by UTM? Now, first of all, I have told you in the initial lectures that UTM is a type of square matrix. Do you remember that? UTM is a type of, or any triangular matrix is a type of square matrix. Yes or no? Now, is this a square matrix? Obviously, this is not a square matrix. It's a rectangular matrix of order 3 cross 4. Then how will you convert it into a UTM? UTM is a square matrix, but this one is a rectangular matrix. How to convert into UTM is that we are not exactly looking for UTM, but a form like UTM. So what we will do is, look here, what we will do is, we will just, and I'm saying you how to convert into this form. So first we will just make the first element as 1. Anyhow, we will convert this first element into 1. Then what we will do, let's say there are so many columns here. Then what we will do, we will just make the elements below this column as 0. What we will do, we will make the first element A11 as 1. First step is to write or convert A11 into 1, and then what you have to do, use this 1, means use R1 to convert this into 0, this one into 0, and all the elements below that 1 into 0. That should be your second step. 1 ke niche, below this 1 you should make all the elements as 0. Now what should be your second step? In the second step you will make the other row 2's diagonal element, means A22 into either 0 or 1. What will you do? Make the A22 either 0 or 1, and one thing you should note here is that 0 it will turn out automatically, but if it's not 0 then you will be required to make it 1. How to do that we will see using this question only, but for now I am telling you what is this row echelon form, that make the diagonal element as 0 and 1. Again use this use the same thing, that convert the elements below that 1 or 0 into all zeros. Okay, and these numbers may be anything. Now again come to the diagonal element, again convert it into either 0 or a 1. Now the same thing, convert the rest elements in that column as 0 and so on. Again this as 0 or 1, then below this as 0, and here may be 0 or 1. This is known as the row echelon form. Okay, it may not be a square matrix like this. Okay, if it's not a square matrix, let's say we have one more column here, one more column if I add, then what will happen? All the diagonal elements are done and you can have the last element as non-zero. So this is the row echelon form, means take the elements like A11, A22, A33, all them as 0 or 1, and below all those elements convert them into zeros. Okay, so that is known as row echelon form. So write down this, that a matrix is said to be in row echelon form if, please write it down so that I can go into the next slide, and then write down this example. So I guess you have written it down, the last line. Please done. So now I'll show you how to convert this matrix. You saw the relationship, it's okay, but to tell the procedure I'm using the same matrix, that let's convert into row echelon form. So first step, I have already told you, make the A11 as 1. First step is to make the A11 as 1. So what operation should I do is that on R1 divide it by a number 6. Now the thing is, Never do these kind of operation for finding out determinant, eigenvalue or inverse or anything else, because obviously when you divide by 6 the determinant doesn't remain the same. Okay, the thing that is common after taking the row echelon form and this matrix is just the rank. Why we are doing row echelon form? Because the matrix within the row echelon form will have the same rank as this matrix. Nothing else will be the same, like eigenvalues will be of different, determinant will be different, inverse will be different, everything else will be different, only the rank will be the same. That's why this row echelon form concept is only used for rank. Okay, so let's just apply this operation. So after this you will get this as 1, this will become 2 by 3, 2 by 3, and remaining rows will remain as it is. Okay, now the next operation, what is the next operation? You have converted this into a 0. Now you will use this to convert this as 0 and this as 0. So use this means what? Use R1. So on R2 you will apply an operation using R1. What operation it did, that should be applied is that R2 minus 2R1. Similarly for R3 also apply the operation like this, R3 plus 14R1, so that these two converts into 0. These two converts into 0. Okay. So after applying those operations, the matrix A will result into you are doing 2 times R1 negative. So this will be 0. 2 times 0 is 0, so it will remain as it is. Then 2 times 2 by 3 means 4 by 3, and 8 minus 4 by 3. 8 minus 4 by 3. How would you solve this? 8 minus 4 by 3 will be equal to 8 minus 4 by 3. Have I written it correctly? 2 by 3. Let me check the question. I have written the question correctly, na? Okay, there was a minus 2 here. Okay, understood. So there was a negative 2 here. Negative 2. Please check question. In the question it was negative 2. Okay, so you will not do minus 2R1, you will do plus 2R1. So that this will turn out to be 0. Yes? Yes, okay. So this operation is applied. So plus 2R1 means 8 plus 4 by 3. 8 plus 4 by 3 will be 28 by 3. Then 18 plus 4 by 3. 18 plus 4 by 3. How much it will be? 18 plus 4 by 3. I guess 56 by 3. Check this. 56 or not? 56 or 58? Oh, 58. 58 by 3. Check this calculation. We have just done plus 2R1. Okay. Okay, let me check. Yes, there it is, plus 14. So you are not attentive because I am writing the question incorrectly and you are agreeing. That means you are not attentive. Please don't sleep in the class. Because here it was a plus 14, so I have to do minus 14 times R1, so that it will become a 0. Again 0 times 14 will be 0, so it will remain as it is, minus 14. Then 14 times R1 will be minus 28 by 3, and here it is a 0, so minus 28 by 3, and this will be minus 28 by 3 minus 10. Minus 28 by 3 minus 10. Is it minus 58 by 3? Check this. Minus 58 by 3. So I guess the calculations are correct only. So let's move forward. Yes, Rahul. Okay. So now what is the next step? Next step is to convert this second element as into 0. So what operation I will apply? That on R2 I'll just divide by 14. Again I am emphasizing only row operations need to be done to convert into row echelon form. Row echelon form, row operations. So this will remain as it is. Here you will get 1. Here you will get 2 by 3. And I am not solving it exactly. I am just writing it as 3 by 14 right now. You can solve that and this will remain as it is. Then what will be the next step? In the next step, what will you do? You will convert this element as 0 using this one that you have created. Okay, so you will convert this to be a 0. So what operation you will do? First of all, you will use this row. So on R3 the operation needs to be done, but using R2. So what operation needs to be applied? That do addition of 14 times R2. Yes. So finally your A matrix will come out to be this you will use. That's what I was emphasizing at, that do not go into this directly. First of all, see the relationship. If relationship you can find, then it's as easy. Don't go into this. And also please write down this. We need not do all, these many steps. I'll give you the answer in the middle step only, but first write down like this. I was showing you the process and this is how it is done. Yes, Chandra, is this way any matrix can be made into row echelon form. Now, why we have done so? We were looking for the rank, and rank was nothing but the number of linearly independent rows. Now, because we couldn't find the relationship among the rows, that's why we go into this thing, and from row echelon form, we can define our rank as it is the number of rows. So in the row echelon form, the rank is defined as the number of rows which have at least one non-zero element in the row echelon form. So now tell me the rank. What I have said, rows which have at least one non-zero element. So R1 is having one element which is at least one element which is non-zero. There are three elements which are non-zero. R2 is also having three elements which are non-zero, but R3 is not having any element which is not equal to 0. So what we will say from here, that the same result, that rank of this matrix A, as the row 3 has become completely 0, so it is equal to 2. So it is equal to 2. Okay. So this is how you define using row echelon form. Now again concentrate over here. Have you written it down? Please write down if you have not written and then reply. Okay. So the thing was, this is the matrix for which rank is asked. Okay, this is the matrix for which rank is asked, and we have defined the rank as number of linearly independent rows. Now, to find out the dependency or independency, we look for relationship. So if you got this relationship, okay, congratulations, you got the rank. But if you didn't get the relationship, then you will go into this format. Okay, so the use of row echelon form or the use of doing all this is just that we need to find out the relationship so that we can determine the number of rows which are independent. Okay, that was the task. Now look over here at this step. I'll name the step here step 1. Here step 1, and here as step 2. Look at the matrix obtained in step 2. Look at the matrix obtained in step 2. For this matrix, if I ask you the rank, for this matrix itself, if I ask you the rank, what will you do? Again, you will find the relationship among the rows. Can you see any relationship among the rows here? What is the relationship for the matrix in step 2? Yes, obviously the relationship is that R3 is the same as negative of R2. This is the relationship. Now if I asked you just this question, that what is the rank of this matrix, you found this relationship, what will you say from this relationship? That among these two rows there is one independent row, and because there is no relationship with the R1, so R1 itself is again independent, and among these two one is independent. So from here also, can you not conclude that rank of this matrix is 2? Yes or no? From here itself, without going into proper row echelon form, in one of the middle step also, you can directly see the relationship, and that was the only task that we were doing. We were following this format. Why? Because we couldn't see the relationship. But if at any middle step, if you are able to see the relationship, then your task is done. From there, find out the relationship, compare it, that say that R1 is not related to any of the rows. That means R1 is itself independent, and because these two are multiple of each other, among these two one will be independent. So total number of rows which are independent are 2. Understood? So now this is not a lengthy method. Do not get confused that it is very lengthy method. It is very beneficial method if you are not able to see the relationship. You can see only by doing 2 operations you are able to find out the rank. Okay, this was the process that I was following, but you actually need not do this. Understood? It can be so that R1, R2 and R3 eventually are not even related to each other. When they are not related to each other, there is no relationship, then what will happen? Then the rank will become 3. Maximum possible rank is 3 only. The rank can't be 4. Obviously, because there is no 4th row, so the rank cannot be as taken as 4. Okay, till then you can write this slide. Okay, so we'll take a break. If you come early, then you can write down the statements from the slide, and then I'll discuss.